ancient books on yoga, on alchemy, and what I consider in the West to be the movement of yoga and alchemy, the chiropractic, the osteopathic, the naturopathic. In the early 1900s, there were these great pioneers, and they all talked about the exact same thing that we are talking about and that every yoga system on planet Earth talks about. They called it vitality. They called what I call neutrality, they called vitality. And they said people have problems. Their goal was to unrestrict the contractions. The yogis call it the karma. The Deepak calls it the cell memory. These old folks called them insults or contractions. You dam those restrictions and let the flow of vitality and energy, neutrality, and that's when people have good health. Why? Because they're now aligned to who they truly are. The more you sensitize to this language. Again, we start something, there's an issue like this. We get the right program on it, and it goes like this. It goes shh, and then it starts to go into this pattern. At this point, you can see someone. They take a sigh. They shift. They take a breath. That's what tells me that this is happening. Then from there, it starts to fill in the space. It starts to charge up. Then they plateau off and just drop into still point. At that point, the face is smile, soft, smile. The wave rhythm is kind of like this. It's just very gently going like this. If you get comfortable on your own terrain watching that happen and working on the things that you think, the structures that you want to unwind, let's not call them problems. Let's just call them structures. Just collapsing structures. Then it's going to be really easy for you to see it in other people. And the only prerequisite in that situation is you going into the situation like this. If you go into the situation, which so many people do with the thinking and all this stuff going on, you're too busy affecting the situation to notice it. You're basically projecting everything to respond to whatever the heck's going on inside of you. If you go into that situation, and this is where quantum field work becomes paramount, not still point. Going into something and just resting in still point for a moment is great, but it'll eject you out pretty fast. Unless you're comfortable taking still point and settling it in to that next. It's like the gears, going into first gear is great, but that's not going to get you very far. You got to be able to settle it into fourth or fifth. So we want to settle into this quantum field. When you go in to do, the key that I get results with using the laser, people unwind, is not, it's got to do with the quotient of neutrality. When you go in as the quantum field, people come to unwind through osmosis. Now instead of projecting, now you're inducing things. It's a wave. It's a strong wave. I tell you, I've been around some great teachers who are very powerful, cultivated, very powerful neutral essence energy. You go near them and it's like, if you go near them, watch out. It doesn't even matter if you want to or not. So you're going to just slip through what did the Alice in Wonderland called it? You're just going to slip right through. Well, that's the key as a practitioner, is being in your quantum field. You're in your quantum field. The people that come, they're already going to be dissolving before you even set the laser on there. Then you stay in this space so you can see when you put the laser on, do they take that breath and then do they start to traction in? And then you just pull back until you see them arrive in. That make sense? That is the entire art. This is an art, cultivating. This is an art of stewarding things. And this happens in every facet of your life when you really start to imbue this essence, and everything you interact with is a process. And the Bible, every ancient treatise and text talks about this as the human nature. Stewarding, shepherding, they all have references to it in terms of we have the amazing capacity as human beings to affect nature and everything around us. We can either be affected by everything around us and be rendered ineffective at what we do, or we can consciously steward everything around us to that impeccable state of grace.